All right, gang, welcome in. Aaron Glenn is starting to fill out his coaching staff. We got 4 names that we're looking at here. I believe 3 are confirmed. The 4th one seems to be coming down the pipeline, but I'll go through each one, give you my thoughts and analysis on each one. First one up is the one that has been rumored basically since Aaron Glenn has been rumored to be coming here, and that's Steve Wilks as defensive coordinator. Long time history in the league and as a coach in general. He's been coaching since like 1996, I think. Is that right? Is it 96? Yeah, 1995. Defensive coordinator, like tons of stops throughout his entire career. We went through the entire list. I'll throw the Wikipedia page up there so you can kind of get a look at it. His biggest stint was really the Carolina Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl. He did have a short period as the Cardinals head coach prior to Cliff Kingsbury. He did draft Josh Rosen, but he's got a lot of experience. He was the interim head coach in 2000. When was it? This past year? No, it was 2022. Interim head coach for the Carolina Panthers as well. So he's had a lot of experience throughout his career. According to Zach Rosenblatt, he's saying good hire for a first-year head coach. Obviously, no connections to Wilks for Glenn, which isn't a bad thing. Which is something that Aaron Glenn has talked about, right? Like, he's not going to just bring in guys that he knows. He's going to bring in guys that are going to be able to help do the best job. He wants the best coaches. So it's nice to hear that he's going out and people want to come work for him, even without the connection. I think that's cool. Has head coaching experience, Cardinals 2018, Panthers 2022 as the interim, was DC for the Panthers in 2017 and 2022, the Browns for 2019, and the 49ers for 2023. Expect the Jets to blitz a lot more. He didn't blitz much in San Francisco, but he did in Carolina, 4th highest blitz rate in the NFL in 2022. Jets ranked 13th, 31st, and 31st the last 3 years. We basically have just been rushing 4 down linemen and dropping like 7 into coverage constantly, which is fine. Like it does work, but creating a little bit of pressure on the quarterback and like causing that fear, getting the ball to come out quicker than the quarterback wants to, I think is really important, especially when you weren't getting pressure with your front 4. We saw that happen this past year. JJ went down with an injury. Hassan Reddick was a no-show, which is kind of interesting because I'm pretty sure 2022 he was on the Was he on the Panthers or was that the first year of the Eagles? Not exactly sure. Either way, love the idea of getting more blitzing in here. It's been something the Jets haven't really done consistently in quite some time. The 49ers D ranked 8th in yardage, 3rd in points, and 12th in earned EPA, earned points against. Is that right? Is that what EPA is? Under Wilks. Got worse in all 3 categories in 2024 after replacing him. So that's always nice. I like seeing when coordinators move a different spot and their team's statistics drop after they leave. It means they had some type of impact there. It's kind of like Robert Saleh leaves and all of a sudden the Jets defense kind of takes a big hit. This is a good guy to lean on for Aaron Glenn. So I'm happy with this hire. My concern prior to them hiring him, and just with Steve Wilks in general, he's got a lot of stops on his resume where he's there for 1 year, maybe 2 years, and then he kind of moves on. So how long is he going to be our defensive coordinator? Why was he kind of bouncing around quite as much as he has throughout the course of his time? The next guy we talked about was Chris Banjo, special teams coordinator. He was the assistant special teams coordinator out in Denver under Sean Payton and under Mike Westhoff. So there's some really highly regarded coaches there that are having him in his corner. Not to mention he played for Aaron Glenn. He was a safety with the Saints, had 10 years NFL experience. He's 34 years old. Banjo got his major endorsement from both Sean Payton and Mike Westhoff, 2 key figures Glenn has leaned on. Broncos downed a league-high 5 punts at the 1-yard line in 2024, including the playoffs, and Banjo did a lot of work with the outside guys on the punt team. Broncos special teams units ranked 11th in EPA over the last 2 years with Banjo on Payton's staff. So we're moving on from Brant Boyer, who's survived like 4 different head coaches, including, Ulbrich here at the end. So we needed to bring in someone that we'd feel confident in. And I think pulling from that Sean Payton tree, Aaron Glenn being able to rely on Sean Payton, it's not just like you're pulling someone from Sean Payton's tree. It's no, Sean Payton's going to help Aaron Glenn, and you're going to get someone who I believe is not just connected to Sean Payton, but also like knows Aaron Glenn, played for Aaron Glenn. So I like this hire a lot. I think this is a really smart swing. The offensive line coach, I'm not sure on yet. But coming from Keith Carter, a lot of people did not like Keith Carter this past year. A lot of his players did not like playing for him in Tennessee. We heard comments from Mekhi Becton. We heard comments from Lane Johnson and a whole bunch of guys in his Tennessee time. The Jets have hired Steve Heiden. Haven't heard it pronounced out loud, so I apologize if that's wrong. Jets have failed to find an offensive line coach for a long time. This hire without much precedent. But Aaron Glenn clearly knows him and believes in his ability to do the job, as does the likely offensive coordinator, which I'm excited to get into in just a second. But this guy was the tight ends coach for the Detroit Lions for the last 3 years, 2023 and 2024. He was the tight ends coach from 2019 to 2022 with the Arizona Cardinals, and assistant offensive line coach in 2018, which was the year that Steve Wilks was the head coach there. Josh Rosen got sacked a bunch of times, so I don't think that's like a huge ringing endorsement, but it was assistant offensive line coach. So maybe he didn't have as much of a hand in the failure side of stuff. Played tight end in the NFL for a decade with the Chargers and Browns, more known for his blocking. Lions tight ends coach the last 2 years, Cardinals tight ends coach for 4 years. 2018, Cardinals O-line was 28th in sack rate, so 32 teams, not fantastic. Tight ends for the Lions generally graded out well in blocking, and there's some crossover between O-line and tight ends coach. I think that makes a ton of sense. Has spent the last couple of years around Hank Fraley, one of the better offensive line coaches in the NFL. Now, honestly, I don't know anything about Fraley, but offensive line coach, I am afraid to say it can't get worse than Keith Carter, because every time I say, well, this situation can't get worse, it winds up doing it, so I'm just not going to say that. And I'm going to bank on the fact that he's been around a lot of successful guys in Detroit with the Lions, and if your offensive coordinator is going to feel comfortable with him, I'm going to feel comfortable with him as well. And that brings us to who I believe our offensive coordinator is going to end up being. There's a lot of smoke around this, and it's a guy that I've been pounding the table for the last few weeks, and that is Tanner Engstrand, the pass game coordinator for the Detroit Lions. This is a guy that I have been like very excited for the Jets to get. Like, they're obviously Scotty Montgomery and Mark Brunell on the list as well, prior to all the smoke of Tanner Engstrand. But this guy has had 2 different stops with Jim Harbaugh. He worked his way up at San Diego and eventually held not just the head coach role, but the offensive coordinator role and the quarterback's coach. So he's done this for a long time. And then he goes to the DC Defenders at some point. Well, actually, before the DC Defenders, he goes to Michigan with Jim Harbaugh, then goes to the DC Defenders to be the offensive coordinator there for a season, then goes to the Lions, works his way up. This is a guy who's still very young. I should pull up his age. I'm not exactly sure what the age is off the top of my head, but this guy, very young, has 8 years of play calling experience. While he's a first-time NFL offensive coordinator, this is a guy who has called plays at the collegiate level, called plays in an alternative league to the NFL. For a first-time offensive coordinator, a guy that has Jim Harbaugh ties and has ties to, obviously, Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions and everything, like, this is a home run hire. I'm super pumped on this. This is a guy that, look, I don't know if he can develop a quarterback. I think you're going to probably look at who our quarterback coach is going to end up being. I don't think I've seen that yet. If I am, I'll add a comment down below in the pinned comment. But guys, I'm liking what's going on with this Jets coaching staff right now. For a defensive-minded coach in Aaron Glenn, he's certainly rounding himself out, or his staff out, with some guys that clearly know what they're doing or have some really high potential. So it's not just like the Jets are some, schmucks that weren't able to get anyone and bring anyone in. This is a guy that's got renewed passion for the New York Jets, a guy that feels like the Jets have helped him at every stage, obviously drafting him in the first round, then giving him his first scouting opportunity, now giving him his first head coach opportunity. Like, he's one of us. When I said at the end of the year, I just want to have pride in my team. I want to feel happy. I want to feel good about our team. Like, I can put up with some losing, but I want to feel proud of it. And this is a team and a roster and a coaching staff that's being built and molded around that I feel like I can be prideful in. So guys, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts in the comment section down below? What do you think of the coaching staff? Give me a list of your favorite coaches, that are there. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.